for Tuesday, February 25th, 2025. I would ask if you have any electronic devices that make noise, if you would please put them on silent so we can have a quiet meeting for the evening. Thank you. First item is the roll call, please.
Trustee LaRosa.
Present.
Trustee Bishki.
Present.
Trustee Madej.
Present.
Trustee Sullivan.
Present.
Trustee Clare.
Present.
Trustee Patel.
Present.
President Daly.
Present. All present and accounted for. I'd like to ask Trustee Bishki to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please rise as you're able. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Next item is the approval of minutes from February 11, 2025. Any questions, comments?
Move to approve as presented. Second.
So motion and a second to approve the minutes as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is the approval of expenditures for $4,859,606.97.
Motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve as presented. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee LaRosa.
Yes.
Trustee Bishki.
Aye.
Trustee Madej.
Aye.
Trustee Sullivan.
Aye.
Trustee Clare.
Aye.
Trustee Patel.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays. Motion carries. Thank you. Now we have some presentations for this evening. The first one is a presentation of a 10-year service award to Michael Daly, police officer, the Village of Schaumburg, of course. Make sure I get the right one here. This one. Yep, there we go. Okay. Yeah, I can pronounce this one.
Interesting spelling. I've never seen.
All the time, more than sometimes these can get quite difficult. Anyway, so let me, if I may, I'll read what this one has to say. This is a certificate of appreciation presented to Michael R. Daly, police officer, detective school resource officer for 10 years of dedicated service to the Village of Schaumburg, 2015 to 2025. In grateful appreciation from the village president, village trustees, village clerk, and the staff of the Village of Schaumburg. Thank you. Oh, here, take this one too.
Yeah,
you go.
that's the important part.
Yes.
Congratulations.
The next is we have a 20-year service award to Chris Westport. Oh, there you go. Okay, so if I may. So this is a certificate of appreciation presented to Chris Westcor, Technical Services Manager for 20 years of dedicated service to the Village of Schaumburg, 2005 to 2025. Grateful appreciation from the village president, village trustees, village clerk, and staff of the Village of Schaumburg. Thank you, Chris. Okay, thank you.
Congratulations.
Okay, just two for this evening. Next is the consent agenda. Consent agenda will be read in its entirety, voted on as one motion to approve. If you wish to discuss an item further, please indicate that when the item is read by the village clerk so that it can be removed from the consent agenda and discussed further under committee reports. Otherwise, all items will be approved as presented on the consent agenda. Will the clerk please read the consent agenda?
Number 1, proclamations. A, National Transit Employee Appreciation Day, March 18th, 2025. B, General Aviation Month, March 2025. Number 2, Engineering and Public Works Committee. The motion would be to approve additional expenditures for the Rodenberg Road Construction Project crossing improvements with the Commuter Rail Division of Regional Transportation Authority, METRA, of Chicago, Illinois, in the amount of $333,964. B, The motion will be to approve additional expenditures for the 90 North Park Shared Street project from Progress Parkway to Landmark Avenue Phase 3 construction with A-Lamp Concrete Contractors, Inc. of Schaumburg, Illinois, in the amount of $165,867.16. C, the motion would be to authorize participation in the Choice Partners Cooperative Contract and award the backup generators at water stations 3, 12, and 19 to Bear Construction Company of Rolling Meadows, Illinois, in the amount of $1,664,696. D, the motion would be to authorize participation in the Choice Partners Cooperative Contract and award the Odlum Station Pump Replacement Project to Bear Construction Company of Rolling Meadows, Illinois, in the amount of $703,309.87. E, the motion would be to waive competitive bidding and approve a 3-year agreement for the software license and maintenance of CityWorks Asset Management with Azteca Systems, LLC of Sandy, Utah, in the amount of $264,079.23. F, the motion would be to authorize the village manager to execute an agreement for the construction of a new village hall at 101 Schaumburg Court with Chemistry Incorporated of Zion, Illinois, through a guaranteed maximum price contract of $44,195,078 and approve the required resolution. 3, Finance, Legal, Administrative, and General Government. A, the motion would be to approve the Finance Department monthly report for January 2025. B, the motion would be to approve membership in the Chicago Metropolitan Agency for Planning and that the contribution in the amount of $3,194.07 be paid. C, the motion would be to accept the fiscal year 23-24 municipal compliance reports for the Schaumburg Police and Schaumburg Firefighters Pension Funds. D, the motion would be to approve a contribution in the amount of $10,000 to the Greater Chicago Area Manufacturing Partnership. For Committee of the Whole, the motion would be to accept the design development drawings of the new Village Hall and begin preparation of construction documents with Williams Architects of Itasca, Illinois. 5, Plan Commission. The motion would be to approve a preliminary and final plat approval for the district at Veridian, west of Meacham Road, south of Algonquin Road, and north of Progress Parkway. 6, Zoning Board of Appeals. The motion would be to approve a special use for a technical school for Flight Innovation, Inc., 1827 Walden Office Square, Unit 460. B, the motion would be to approve a development framework plan approval, site plan approval, rezoning, preliminary and final plat approval, special use approval for type 2 and 3 row houses, street wall gap variation, build to line variation, foundation landscape variation, multi-use path width variation, and right-of-way variations for Northgate at Veridian Phase 5, south of Lake Point Drive, west of Parkside Drive, and east of Progress Parkway. 7, Project Review Group. The motion would be to approve a site plan approval for Block 1, mixed-use residential building and parking garage for the district at Veridian, west of Meacham Road, south of Algonquin Road, and north of Progress Parkway. B, the motion would be to approve a site plan amendment for building addition and site modifications for HIDAC 2050 Mitchell Boulevard. 8, award of bid. The motion would be to award the bid for the new LifePak 35 monitor defibrillators to Stryker Sales, LLC of Chicago, Illinois, in the amount of $92,544.40. 9, resolutions. The motion would be to adopt as resolution number R-25-010, authorizing the village manager to execute a waiver of competitive bidding and execute a 3-year contract renewal for the software license and maintenance of CityWorks Asset Management with Azteca Systems, LLC. B, the motion would be to adopt as resolution number R-25-011, authorizing the village manager to execute an agreement for the construction of a new village hall at 101 Schaumburg Court with Chemistry Incorporated. C, the motion would be to adopt as resolution number R-25-012, authorizing a settlement of the proceeding Zurich American Insurance Company versus Village of Schaumburg. 10, ordinances. A, the motion would be to waive first reading and adopt as ordinance number 25-018, granting a special use for a technical school for Flight Innovation, Inc., 1827 Walden Office Square, Unit 460. B, the motion would be to waive first reading and adopt as ordinance number 25-019, granting a development framework plan approval, site plan approval, rezoning, preliminary and final plat approval, special use approval for type 1 and 2 row houses, street wall gap variation, building to line variation, foundation landscaping variation, multi-use path width variation, and right-of-way variations for North Gate at Meridian, Phase 5, south of Lake Point Drive, west of Parkside Drive, and east of Progress Parkway. C, the motion would be to waive first reading and adopt as ordinance number 25-020, granting a site plan approval for Block 1 mixed-use residential building and parking garage for the district at Viridian, west of Meacham Road, south of Algonquin Road, and north of Progress Parkway. D, the motion would be to waive first reading and adopt as ordinance number 25-021, granting a site plan amendment for building addition and site modifications for Hydac 2050 Mitchell Boulevard. E, the motion would be to waive first reading and adopt as ordinance number 25-022, granting a preliminary and final plat approval for the district at Viridian, west of Meacham Road, south of Algonquin Road, and north of Progress Parkway. F, the motion would be to waive first reading and adopt as ordinance number 25-023, granting an amendment to ordinance number 23-052, modification of conditions requiring a private streets agreement prior to the release of permits for the district at Viridian, west of Meacham Road, south of Algonquin Road, and north of Progress Parkway. G, the motion would be to waive first reading and adopt as ordinance number 25-024, authorizing adoption and publication of the official updated zoning map of the Village of Schaumburg. H, the motion would be to waive first reading and adopt as ordinance number 25-025, authorizing a first amendment to the redevelopment agreement between Zurich American Insurance Company and Village of Schaumburg, comprising a part of the North Schaumburg TIF district of the Village of Schaumburg, Illinois. That concludes the consent agenda.
Look for a motion to approve the consent agenda as read.
So moved. Second?
Motion is second. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee LaRosa?
Aye.
Trustee Bishki?
Aye.
Trustee Madej?
Aye.
Trustee Sullivan?
Aye.
Trustee Clare?
Aye.
Trustee Patel?
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, motion carries. Thank you. Committee reports, we have none listed. Comments from the public is an opportunity to come before us to speak on items that are pertinent towards the Village of Schaumburg. If you have something, please come up, give us your name and address for the record, and hold forth. We ask that you keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Thank you. Sure, come on up.
Thank you for your time. My name is Denise Sunder. I've had the pleasure of being a resident of Schaumburg for over 40 years. Raised my son, Eric, at Frost School and Conant High School. And I've been very happy being a resident of Schaumburg. Part of the reason I'm here tonight is I'm with the Schaumburg Township Historical Society. Some of you may know that. We've been established for over 60 years as of last year. And the village owns the Center School, 1872 Center School, that presently resides over at St. Peter's. We'd like to commend the village on a really wonderful idea that first came to my attention in the Herald about moving the Friendship Stone from the Convention Center to the new building. We think that's a wonderful opportunity and a focal point where it's going to be positioned to continue to acknowledge the history of Schaumburg. We've introduced information about it even over at the Center School, which I don't think they talked about much in 1872, but we've incorporated it because although we have great opportunities at our library at Spring Valley Nature Center, the Schreiker House, different venues. We're just looking to continue to spread the word of the beginnings of Schaumburg. And as you go and progress to the future, as we all must, to not forget the past. I just ask one question. Does anybody remember where they were on March 7th, 1956? That was the first board meeting that the Village of Schaumburg ever had, and guess where it was? At the center school.
Oh, it was. Okay.
That was a big eye-opener for us.
Okay.
That little center school, can you imagine having the board meeting there? So we're bringing that historical note in tonight. Part of what we say in our little flyer is learning from the past and preserving for the future. And I hope that we continue to be part of the new building. And this stone is, again, a really positive thing that's been introduced over there. I don't know if y'all have had a chance to go check it out recently. I went over there to take this picture. Looks like there's been a lot of people celebrating the stone and throwing drinks on it. So as a sandstone, I'm sure that's part of the process of moving it, is getting it cleaned up. But we thank you for that very good decision.
Well, thank you. I'm not sure whose decision it was, but staff presented it and showed it, and we're like, great idea. So
Yeah.
it'll sit very prominently at the top of the stairs. So when you come into the building, you'll see it right there. Yeah, somewhere, it'll probably be up here. So very good. And I know staff has tried to figure out, how are we going to move this thing?
17 tons, I'm not volunteering.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's some enormous weight. So, and then the question raised was, will the floor support it, of course, you know, so.
Well, we've been a sister city for over 40 years, and I'll continue even more so. So thanks again.
I will tell you that with the move coming up, we all had to go through our files and see what we can recycle and what needs to be kept. And Mayor Larson, let's just say he kept a lot of stuff. And so I've gone through clippings, pictures, and I have separated out, I've told most people that listen to me, I've separated into 3 piles. I have the historical stuff, the pictures of him, Bob Atcher, all sorts of stuff like that, of pictures and newspaper clippings and everything else that have gone on here in the village. I have a nice pile of that. And then I have some that are duplicates and some that are just kind of personal that I will return to the family, and then some that have no bearing to really much of anything, so we're going to recycle that. But so we'll have that all, be able to do something with that, hopefully to highlight the history of Schaumburg.
Oh, thank you
So,
for sharing that.
yeah. I sit at home and I watch TV and I take a folder and I start going through the folder, and after about an hour, then I do another one, and I do another one, and I keep getting through it. So I figure I'll probably have about 20 hours into that. But it's all while watching TV, so it's
Well,
not a
we
problem.
recently brought some things over to Jane Rosick over at the library, which we all know has a wonderful blog
Yes.
at our library.
Yep.
And she's with the Historical Society too. And we actually had someone who's 82 years old come last September from Ottawa, Illinois, and sat in one of our little desks and handed us his report card.
Oh,
And his report card was with the teachers, and and he said, well, this room used to be a lot smaller. Well, he was a lot bigger, but he was actually a student at the school.
wow.
So we gave it to Jane to scan for the historical significance. But hopefully, the new building will have some little display or something, we could continue with it.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Excuse me. Anyone else?
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Patty DeMars. I live at 221 Brook Hill Court in Schaumburg, and I'm here not only for myself, but on behalf of my community. One of the homes in our neighborhood in the Stonebridge subdivision of Schaumburg was recently sold to a young couple, presumably for them to live in it and become neighbors of ours. And we recently learned that they turned it into an Airbnb. We live in a very quiet neighborhood. It's a very narrow, winding cul-de-sac. The streets are only 20 feet wide. There's no room for two cars side by side. There's no room, very little room for emergency vehicles to get through as it is, snow plows, fire trucks, things like that. And we don't have sidewalks either, so it poses a risk when you can't get cars through, because since this Airbnb started, the influx of cars from the guests and their parties have made the situation much worse, creating a lot of congestion and safety hazards. Constant overcrowding, it raises a lot of safety concerns for people with small children. And again, like I said, people that, like, if an ambulance had to come through, it's very difficult. We all have the courtesy to let each other know when we're having large parties that, we're going to need to park in someone's driveway, or let someone know just to knock on our door if we need to move cars around. And we can't do that when our street is overcrowded with strange cars week after week, different ones that we're not aware of. We've also encountered litter on our lawns, strangers lingering around in the neighborhood. We've had people walking down a driveway at 3 in the morning, trying to go up to someone's home, and when they saw a neighbor out, they ran back in their car and drove off. People walking through yards, our neighbors, so there's an easement behind my house and the neighbors behind me, and the people behind me in the easement have complained about strangers walking through the easement into their yards. They have small children, and they're concerned about strangers coming through. It's heightened our concerns about security in our neighborhood. And additionally, the presence of a transient-like hotel kind of situation in this residential area. We're concerned about the value of our homes that we've worked very hard to preserve and increase the value on year after year. And we feel that having this Airbnb and people coming through and the trash in the lawns and all the people coming in and out are going to bring down the value of our homes in our neighborhood. We're further aware of things that can happen by an incident that happened in Roselle several years ago, and you probably all heard about it. It was a beautiful home that was turned into an Airbnb, and it started out probably just having people enjoy staying there. And one night, the wrong people came. They had a party, and there were 60 gunshots fired. 5 people were injured, and 1 person was killed. And we do not want to see something like that happen in our neighborhood. Other communities have recognized these risks and taken action. Places like Roselle that I just spoke of, Killdeer, Hinsdale, just to name a few. And they've taken action by revoking the short-term licenses or banning Airbnbs altogether. So we urge Schaumburg, a community that is known for its family-friendly environment, to do the same. I mean, we live in a very respectful community, and we're urging you guys to please take this serious and think about revoking the license on that. I also have some comments from some neighbors that said in the past, consideration has been given to notifying residents of a pending or planned license application for short-term rental property in their neighborhood, and that hasn't happened as far as this Airbnb goes. No one has asked us how we feel about it. They said they recall an instance when a neighbor was required to send letters to his neighbors notifying them of his request for an allowance to build a sunroom addition and asking whether they'd approve or disapprove of it. And it was many years ago, but I mean, we want to know, is that still something that we have a big change like that in our neighborhood? So we're asking the village to please make some time for us as a community to come and meet and discuss this and see what we can do to have this license revoked and have this turned around. In addition, the last thing I'll say is the sellers were not aware that this was going to happen. They thought they were selling it to a very nice family. They misled all of us and led us to believe that they were going to live and reside in the home, and that their kids would meet the other kids in the neighborhood, and we would, have another nice family there. And they just misled everybody. And the people that sold it said they would have never sold it to them. This is a $730,000, it's a $775,000 home actually, but they reduced the price just because they thought it was a nice family moving in, and they wanted to get out and, move on to their retirement home. And so we're not talking about a neighborhood, where there's all kinds of people coming in and out. This is a very nice neighborhood, and we've all worked very hard to preserve the value of our home. And if any of my neighbors have any comments or questions, I guess.
So you sent me a letter?
I did. I dropped it off yesterday.
Which I received this morning.
Thank you.
When I came in, and along with some other documents, and I have passed it on to, copied the board on it, and I have also passed it to staff to investigate and get back to us. So
Okay.
we will do that, and then someone will be in contact with you.
Okay,
I assume you will serve as a spokesperson for the area?
I will, and you have my contact info.
Yes.
And then one of the neighbors was kind enough to take some pictures of the street and how narrow it is and things, and I have some copies. I don't know who I can leave them with for you to.
I can tell you.
Village clerk.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Oh. Wait,
Thank you for your
wait,
consideration.
Wait, you gave me the wrong thing.
What's that?
You said pictures?
Yeah, they're
These are the
attached here.
agendas?
They're actually attached on here.
This is all the agenda.
Oh, I grabbed your stuff.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's what I'm saying, you gave me
Here's
the wrong
I
set.
gave you your own stuff back.
Yeah.
That was already sitting there.
Okay, all right,
My bad, guys.
okay,
There's the
all right,
picture.
thank you,
This is
okay.
your stuff. I don't know where this is.
Okay,
That can
all
just
right.
go back up
Thank
there.
you.
Okay. Anybody have anything they want to say? Anna?
I am the seller, very upset, and if I start crying, I'll be. Thanks. So anyways, this is very upsetting. My husband was the one that.
State your name
Yeah.
and
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm Anna Forrester Belandry. We've lived here 30-plus years. We raised our children. They went to the schools. I'm from Chicago. My husband convinced me, thank God, to move over here years ago. We met the family. They came to our home. The kids were picking out their rooms. He's a pastor. And people always say people, fool me a lot. I was very fooled. I even told the cul-de-sac, we're a cul-de-sac, that we can leave our homes, our neighbors have our keys, we take care, our garages are open, our children ride their bikes up and down our driveways. And here are people, 20 people the last time staying in my house, 20 people partying. This is not acceptable, not in our neighborhood. Schaumburg is known as a family residence, a family neighborhood where you can raise your children. And we never would have moved, but there's only 2 of us, no more kids, so we moved to a 800-square-foot house that's perfectly fine for us, for our future. But we can't allow these things to happen. I mean, I have 2 kids right next to me that I loved, my neighbor's kids. We have kids all over. We had the last party at our house to bring in all the new neighbors that have moved in. They're revitalizing our neighborhood. New kids are moving in, new families. And this is what they're going to take because the city allowed it. We weren't even notified of this. It just can't happen. Something needs to be done. We can't put our kids at risk. Ours is 1 street, 1 entrance. And everything else from the street are cul-de-sacs where kids live and play. And we've had cars running through there at high speeds. Someday, some child is going to be killed. And this is the winter, 20 people in the winter. Think of the summer. My backyard has TV in it. It has sitting area in it. It has a whole area in the back that you can play volleyball, tennis, that you can put up these things. You know how many people are going to be in this house playing and partying? It's not acceptable. I just had to say it because I can't believe this was allowed.
Okay, thank you.
I'll be really quick, not to pile on, but I'm Dale Balsidis, 252 Grosvenor, so the backyard is the pipeline, and the Foresters were our neighbors until they sold. One of the things that came up, specifically it being the winter, the Airbnbs advertised as being a perfect party setting. I mean, it references the backyard and the open floor plan, the pool, the pool table, the bar. And we already have one instance where we're in our house just hearing people swearing, constantly yelling at each other, fighting. And it's like, 11 o'clock at night or something. And we're like, oh, they're having a family party, because to our knowledge, it was a family that was there. So like, oh, families fight, just to find out a month later, this was one of the few instances where we had a party happening. Just, aside from that, we've also had a few different instances since the home was sold, and could it be timing? Maybe, but there were actual break-ins that happened down the road right off the pipeline. We had our window well, probably middle of the day, stuff taken off of it and just thrown aside, and we've never had issues with that. So the timing just seems a little strange, and yeah, it's just, I have a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old who like to play on the pipeline, sports and whatnot. We've always felt safe, and that's completely stripped from us. So just wanted to share that. Thanks.
Okay, as I indicated, I just received the documents today, so it's been passed on, and staff will be investigating and get back to you about that. Okay? All right, thank you. If no one else, we will move on in the agenda. Oh. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Lou Miller. I'm at 222 Brook Hill Court. And I just wanted to add another item of interest in regard to the situation. On Super Bowl weekend, my son was visiting us. He doesn't live with us, but he left our home at about 10 o'clock. I don't recall if it was Saturday night or Sunday night. And there were cars parked on the other side of the street, which, as Patty has pointed out, our street does not allow parking both sides of the street. It's only 20 feet wide, curb to curb. And our son had his car in our driveway and needed to back out to leave. Those cars, my son's able to back out with those cars there, one of which was partially blocking Patty's driveway, as I recall. But he started back out and realized there's another car on the street. It was parked, headlights were on, somebody was in it. Now, whether they had just come there or not, I don't know, but they had to back down the street so my son could get out. We only have that one-way access. And I just don't know, strangers who may come to visit that home or stay there, they don't know the situation. And it can just cause a problem if they do park, not necessarily right across from each other, but even staggered down the street. It would not allow people to get through, or emergency vehicles if the need arises. So that was my concern. I would point out one thing. Patty was reading a note I had made regarding notification. And to my knowledge, there has never been notification regarding Airbnbs or short-term rentals. But the instance she mentioned was our neighbor who had added a sunroom, was required by the village, as I understood it, to send certified letters asking neighbors if they approved or not, or had an objection. And I wondered if the village would consider, if they don't ban these short-term rentals outright, if they'd consider providing notifications to neighbors asking whether they approve or disapprove of having that in their neighborhood. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Okay, if no one else, then we are going to move on in the agenda. Excuse me. Council report?
I have no report, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. President's report, I have one item, and that is to mention that the Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund, assuming it's okay, has appointed our own village manager, Brian Townsend, to serve on the Board of Trustees. For those that are unaware, that IMRF, as it's referred to, is the pension system that serves most local forms of government in the state of Illinois. most non-sworn employees that are in the village of Schaumburg. It's considered kind of the gold standard for pension systems, certainly in the state of Illinois. And Brian has applied for the position and was accepted and appointed. So I wanted to say congratulations to you. Appreciate it. Glad he's going to be there to help keep that fund running. It's well-funded, unlike some other funds that you hear about in the state. This one is, I think it's 99% funded or something like that. So
Very solid.
yeah, it's very good. So thank you very much, Brian, for doing that. That's all I have. Manager's report.
I have no report this evening.
Took away your thunder. New business, so we have none listed. Unfinished business, none listed. Trustee comments and mentions. Anyone this evening? No. Okay, moving on, I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Here we go.